There was another Epstein Dropbox, your iPhone bringing up memories of us. Like there's another, it's them, it's Epstein and Trump at a wedding. Now there's all these photos. It's them dancing. There's, video of them getting matching tattoos and eating spaghetti like Lady and the Tramp. Thank God social media wasn't around in those times. We'd be watching on a loop on CNN and MSNBC the TikToks that Epstein and Trump make in Cabo with beauty pageant contestants.
What's up, everybody? Major retired Richard Ojeda here. And between Rosie O'Donnell, Stephen Colbert, Jon Stewart, and South Park, it's the comedians doing the job that mainstream journalists either forgot how to do or just flat out gave up on.
As each new video and photo drop comes out, he gets more unhinged. There should be firing squads for NPR hosts. He's just losing his fucking mind.
You don't have to look far to see which networks are pumping out one-sided conspiracy theories and propaganda. Hell, turn on Fox News for 5 seconds and Jesse Waters is spoon-feeding bedtime stories to the MAGA cult. But while they're pushing clown state-sanctioned TV propaganda, the comedians are torching Donald Trump and his lies in a way that's got him absolutely fuming. I'm talking Chernobyl in a spray tan levels of narcissistic rage fuming. Hit a raw nerve like that and keep hitting it. You get tantrums, you get denial, you get deflection served with a side of idiotic spin, and his undereducated cult slops it up like gospel.
It really seems like we learn new details about Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein's years-long relationship literally all the time. Epstein was a member of the Mar-a-Lago club until October 2007, more than a year after he was indicted and released on bail, according to the book, The Grifters Club, Trump, Mar-a-Lago, and the Selling of the Presidency. The Daily Beast adds, in the footnotes of their book, the team of Miami Herald journalists behind the book reported, quote, the authors viewed a membership list showing that Epstein's account had been closed in October 2007. From the very beginning, there was a lot of bragging about how they were friends with essentially everyone. And they knew everyone, Jane said. And they would sort of name drop or sometimes put people on speakerphones whose voices I didn't know and then say, oh, well, this was so-and-so and so-and-so. And just, say that they were very well connected and affluent. Look, you can try to crop Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein out of some of the pictures, but you cannot take Donald Trump out of this story.
And we all know Trump doesn't believe in consequences. He's a spoiled playground bully who's never been checked. But now, with the Epstein files resurfacing, it's like someone dumped mashed potatoes right on his head. Poor baby. This is what it looks like when the monsters get dragged into the light. And Trump, he's not handling it well at all.
Donald Trump using every arm of the federal government to intimidate and bully and push things in his direction, and the general compliance that appears to be at the root of all of his power. This fight against him through all legal and ethical means has to be turned up, as they would say on Spinal Tap, to 11.
MAGA said they wanted pedophiles exposed. They believed Trump would release the JFK files, disclose UFOs, unlock the Matrix, get to the bottom of Pizzagate, celebrate the sound of freedom through the tribulation, and get raptured with Donald Trump leading the way to the pearly gates. These are the same folks who think fluoride blocks their third eye, injecting bleach and shoving black lights up their butts cures COVID. But even these dedicated supporters, those folks who've decked themselves out with MAGA merchandise and maxi pads on their ears, they're drawing the line. And trust me, MAGA lines in the sand are about as strong as a lion hypnotizing a chicken, but it's a boundary nonetheless. These town folk are fed up. They don't want that monster in their town anymore. They're tired of mental gymnastics, tired of sacrificing their principles, assuming they had any. But that's a different story. And now the pitchforks are out. Republicans are getting torched at town halls. The base is fractured and broken. Nobody knows who to trust, and the base is in chaos. And Donald Trump, He's scrambling because he hears the footsteps getting closer. And thank God for comedians like Jon Stewart, because somebody's got to inspire that mob. Jon Stewart just busted out a comparison so weird, it's perfect. He said Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were like Starsky and Hutch. You remember that show, right? Two streetwise, hard-nosed detectives flying through the city in their red Ford Gran Torino. They had swagger, they had style, and they had Huggy Bear. And they weren't just chasing crooks. They were taking down drug rings, prostitution, and shady politicians. Basically, Starsky and Hutch were the Dukes of Hazzard of city folk. And now Jon Stewart says Trump and Epstein were that close, in a creepy, bromantic, crime-adjacent kind of way. But let's be real. That's an insult to Starsky, and that's an insult to Hutch. And it's a damn sure an insult to that car. Because this wasn't about justice or brotherhood, this was about secrets, power, and the sickest betrayal of public trust we've ever seen in American politics. Stewart even said, thank God social media wasn't around back then, because if it had been, we wouldn't just have a few grainy Epstein photos. We'd have full-on TikToks of Trump and Epstein eating spaghetti like Lady and the Tramp at Mar-a-Lago. Huggy Bear would have been on IG Live like, yo, Starsky, Hutch, you're not going to believe what Donnie just did in the VIP room. And now he's wandering around like some dumpy orange goblin on top of the White House roof, just pacing, sweating, talking to nobody. A Secret Service agent radios in, we've got a situation. Looks like Humpty Dumpty's gone on a walkabout again.
What does that mean?
You ask him what he's going up there for, and he shrugs. Just going for a walk. Yeah, sure, Donnie. Nothing unusual about a half-melted creamsicle waddling across the roofline like it's a yoga retreat. You want to take a walk? Take your ass down to the bunker. You seemed real comfy there back in 2020. You're scared of heights now, or just scared that the walls are closing in. Because it ain't normal to find a former president doing rooftop laps like he's auditioning for Home Alone 7, the dementia years. And yet, here we are. That's how deep the delusions run. He's not walking toward reality. He's trying to climb above it, pretending it's not happening. Act like the world can't touch him if he just gets high enough. But spoiler alert, Donnie, even Humpty Dumpty couldn't survive the fall, and no amount of king's horses or MAGA men are putting this one back together. Is the rooftop stroll part of the new security plan? Did they set up bumpers like it's a toddler's playpen? Gotta make sure little Donnie doesn't tumble off the edge while he's throwing tantrums at the sky. Maybe next they'll strap a harness to him, presidential leash and all, so he doesn't go full Humpty and crack wide open in front of the cameras. At this point, he's one helmet away from being pushed around in a big red wagon labeled executive time. And the MAGA cult will still cheer, still chant, he's just like us, as their messiah waddles around the rooftop playpen built to keep him from accidentally declaring war on the weather balloon. And if that wasn't enough, here comes Trump, unraveling faster than a gas station American flag in a wind tunnel. He says there should be firing squads for NPR hosts. A 5-time draft dodger wants to lecture anyone about firing squads. The only thing Trump knows about executions is what he learned from the dictators that he worships. The ones who push people out of windows, throw them into camps, disappear them with a wink and a nod. That's the playbook he's got bookmarked. He doesn't want law and order. He wants revenge, submission, erasure. And Stewart said he's losing his effing mind. I'll tell you what, that's generous. Trump isn't just losing it, he's squirming around like a slug in a salt factory, watching the feeds, refreshing the headlines, reading every last post about Epstein, and don't think for a second that this man doesn't know what's going on. Don't let the I'm just a big dumb guy act fool you. He's got people around him every minute of the day saying, don't say this, don't tweet that, stay away from that clip, dodge that name. And all the while, he's got his BS Barbies spinning propaganda. The blonde Stepford wives of the right-wing media industrial complex. Just a production line of bleach, filler, and fake outrage. Half of them look like Fox News cloned them in a lab. The rest, it's like watching a turf war between vampires and werewolves on Team Trump. And none of them are telling the truth. Because if they did, the whole rotten show would collapse in a puff of hairspray and white wine spritzers. Meanwhile, MAGA voters want to pretend like they didn't see this coming. This isn't what we voted for. Yes, it is. You did vote for this. You voted for every last bit of it. The cruelty, the chaos, the cover-ups. You voted for the pardons, the predators, and the panic. You voted for a man who partied with Epstein, praised dictators, tried to overturn an election, and then whined like a toddler when it didn't work. Don't act shocked now. Don't say, this isn't what we meant. You broke it. You bought it. Now you live in it. And here's the truth. If comedians are the only ones calling it out, then maybe it takes a punchline to break the spell. Because in the end, somebody's got to lead the charge. And we are grateful for the Jon Stewarts and the Rosie O'Donnells. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.